The massive ship hung in space like a silent predator. Its smooth, metallic surface reflected the distant starlight, a testament to technology far beyond anything humanity had ever created. Inside the ship, Captain Jiho adjusted his communication headset, his nervous fingers tapping against the control panel. "Scan complete," announced the ship's computer in a flat, emotionless voice. "Planet designation: Earth. Technological level: primitive. Social structure: fragmented. Potential for resistance: minimal." Jiho leaned back in his chair. He had heard these words before. Hundreds of times, in fact. The Calrone Empire had conquered countless worlds, and this blue-green planet seemed no different from the others. Just another stop in their endless march across the galaxy. The planet looked peaceful from space. Swirling white clouds covered large blue oceans. Green and brown landmasses broke up the water's surface. To the untrained eye, it might have seemed like a beautiful, quiet world. But Jiho knew better. Every world looked peaceful before first contact. His second-in-command, a junior officer named Minho, brought up the initial planetary data on the main screen. "Interesting," he muttered. "Multiple conflict zones. Numerous separate governments. Primitive weapons technology." He paused, zooming in on some satellite images. "They're still using wheeled vehicles in some regions. Can you believe that, Captain?" Jiho didn't respond immediately. Something about the planet's data made him uncomfortable. He couldn't put his finger on it, but something felt different. The ship's long-range sensors began collecting more detailed information. Communication networks, technological infrastructure, military capabilities, all the usual data points that help the Calrone determine a planet's potential resistance. But with each passing moment, Jiho felt a growing sense of unease. "Communications team," he called out, "prepare the standard first contact transmission." The communication specialist, a lean woman named Yuna, began working on the standard greeting protocol. It was a message the Calrone had used countless times before, a simple announcement of their arrival, a declaration of peaceful intentions, which always preceded their inevitable conquest. Outside the ship's massive viewing window, Earth continued its silent rotation. Cities glowed with artificial light. Satellites moved in their predetermined orbits. Billions of humans went about their daily lives, completely unaware of the alien ship watching them. Minho continued to analyze the data. "Their most advanced weapons seem to be nuclear-based," he reported. "Primitive compared to our shield technology. Their space exploration is minimal, just a few probes and some rudimentary space stations." Yet something in the data troubled Jiho. The humans seemed unpredictable. Their historical records showed a species that was constantly changing, fighting among themselves, solving problems, adapting. It was almost as if conflict was not just a state of being for them, but a method of evolution. "Transmission ready," Yuna announced. Captain Jiho nodded, still feeling that strange sense of something unexpected. "Send it." What the Calrone didn't know, what they couldn't possibly understand at that moment, was that they had just made first contact with a species that would change the galaxy forever. Humanity was about to show them exactly what it meant to be a truly dangerous species. The conference room was unlike any space the alien delegation had expected. It was not a gleaming, high-tech chamber of perfect order, but a messy, lived-in space that seemed to breathe with human energy. Papers were scattered across the table. Old coffee mugs sat next to tablets and holographic displays. A world map covered one wall, marked with colored pins and complex diagrams. Commander Elena Rodriguez sat at the center of the table. She wore a simple military uniform that looked both practical and worn. Her eyes were calm, but there was something underneath, a sharpness that made the Calrone representatives uncomfortable. So Elena began, her voice steady. "You've come to discuss our planet's future." Jiho, who had led the initial survey mission, tried to maintain his composure. The translation device hummed softly, converting his native language into clear English. "We represent the Calrone Galactic Confederation. We are here to establish peaceful, Elena interrupted. A slight smile played on her lips. That's an interesting word. The other human representatives in the room said nothing. A retired general named Park sat to her left, his weathered hands folded carefully on the table. A young scientist named Kim watched the aliens with curious eyes. An older diplomat named Lee seemed to be studying the Calroan representatives like complex mathematical problems. Jiho felt sweat forming on his tentacle-like appendages. This was not going as planned. We have surveyed your planet, he continued. Your technological capabilities are limited. Your global systems are fragmented. Your military technologies are primitive. Elena finished his sentence. Her smile grew wider. Is that what you were going to say? The Calroan communication specialist, Yuma, checked her data pad nervously. Nothing in their first contact protocols had prepared them for this conversation. Humans were supposed to be confused, scared, impressed by the alien technology. These humans looked amused. We are offering you an opportunity, Geo said, trying to sound diplomatic. Joining the Galactic Confederation means protection, advanced technology, economic support. Park, the retired general, chuckled. It was not a happy sound. Protection. From what? Minho, standing behind Jiho, whispered a translation note. The human's tone suggested they were not asking a serious question, but making a point. Elena leaned forward. Let me explain something to you, she said. Her voice was calm, almost friendly. Humans have been fighting each other for thousands of years. We've survived ice ages, world wars, economic collapses, pandemics. Do you really think we need protection? The room went silent. The Calroan representatives looked at each other. This was not in their first contact handbook. Kim, the young scientist, spoke up. Your ships are impressive, he said. But have you studied our history? Have you really understood what humans do when they're threatened? Jiho felt a chill run down his spine. Something in the young scientist's voice suggested knowledge beyond simple technological comparison. We are offering you a chance to join a peaceful galactic community, Gio repeated, but his voice sounded weaker now. Elena's smile didn't change. And what happens, she asked quietly, if we say no? The question hung in the air. No one moved. No one spoke. Outside the conference room, the busy world of humans continued. Unaware, unconcerned, waiting. The Calroan military intelligence team worked through the night. Their computer systems hummed with activity, processing every scrap of information about Earth they could find. Screens filled with data, satellite images, historical records, and communication logs. This makes no sense, muttered Dr. On, the lead researcher. His fingers moved quickly across multiple holographic displays. Each movement brought up new layers of human history, and with each layer, the confusion grew deeper. Minho stood behind him, watching the screens. What do you mean? Dr. On pointed to a complex timeline. Look at their conflict history. Most species, when faced with a challenge, seek to minimize damage. Humans do something different. The screen showed a brutal montage. World War I, World War IA. The Cold War, proxy conflicts, economic wars, technological races. Each conflict seemed to produce not just destruction, but sudden, massive leaps in human capability. A junior analyst named Seo scrolled through military technology records. Their weapons development is bizarre, she said. They turn everything into a potential weapon. A medical technology becomes a military tool. A communication satellite becomes a targeting system. Even their failures become opportunities. Minho leaned closer. The data was unlike anything the Calroan had ever seen. Most conquered species showed a predictable pattern. They would either surrender quickly or be crushed systematically. Humans seemed to do something else entirely. Dr. On pulled up a series of historical battle maps. Look at this, he said. The Vietnam War. Technologically, humans were at a massive disadvantage. But they didn't just fight. They reimagined warfare itself. The screens showed complex strategic movements, guerrilla tactics, psychological warfare, technologies developed on the fly. Adaptation became a weapon more dangerous than any physical tool. Their military is not just a fighting force, Siu observed. It's a research and development platform. Every conflict is a laboratory. Minho felt a chill. The human capacity for turning challenges into opportunities was unlike anything in the Calron records. Most species saw conflict as a problem to be solved quickly. Humans saw it as a problem to be solved creatively. Dr. On pulled up another set of records: space exploration, nuclear technology, computer networks. Each breakthrough seemed to emerge from conflict or extreme challenge. Where other species would break, humans would innovate. They don't just survive, Dr. On said quietly. They optimize. The screens continued to show more data. Economic records showed how humans transformed global challenges into economic opportunities. Technological records demonstrated how they turned military research into civilian innovations. Medical research revealed how they used conflict as a driver for medical advancement. CO pointed to a particular graph. Look at their response to the COVID-19 pandemic. In less than a year, they developed multiple vaccine technologies. Most species would have been crippled. They created a global solution. Minho understood now why Captain Jiho had been so uneasy during the first contact meeting. These humans were not just another species to be conquered. They were something else entirely. We need to update our first contact protocols, Minho said finally. Dr. On nodded. No, he corrected. We need to rewrite them completely. Outside the research center, the night continued. Billions of humans went about their lives, completely unaware that an alien research team was discovering just how dangerous they could be. The history classroom looked ordinary. Sunlight filtered through windows. Old maps hung on the walls. A middle-aged teacher named Mr. Lee stood in front of a digital screen, explaining something far more significant than any of his students realized. War is not just about fighting, he told his students. It's about human adaptation. The classroom of teenagers listened. Some looked bored. Some looked interested. None of them knew that light years away, an alien research team was studying their history with growing fear. Mr. Lee clicked through a presentation. Each slide told a story of human transformation. The Vietnam War wasn't just a conflict. It was a complete reimagining of military strategy. The Cold War wasn't just a standoff. It was a global technology race that pushed human capabilities to new limits. Look at how we respond to challenges, Mr. Lee continued. World War I ended, and suddenly we had computers, nuclear physics, rocket technology, space exploration. A student named Jun raised his hand. But sir, those were terrible conflicts. People died. Mr. Lee nodded. Exactly. Humans take the worst moments and turn them into opportunities for growth. Every major human advancement came from our ability to learn from pain. Across the world, in a secure research facility, Dr. On was presenting similar information to the Calron leadership. His screen showed the same historical patterns Mr. Lee was explaining to his students. Each human conflict is a laboratory, Dr. On explained. They don't just fight. They optimize. The Calron leaders watched in silence. The presentation showed how humans transformed every challenge into an opportunity. Medical technologies developed during wars became civilian treatments. Communication systems created for military use became global networks. Material science advanced through military research created new industries. Look at the internet, Dr. On said. A military communication system designed to survive nuclear war became the most important communication technology in human history. The Calron leadership began to understand something terrifying. Humans didn't view conflict as a problem to be avoided. They saw it as a tool for evolution. Back in the classroom, Mr. Lee continued his lesson. Technology doesn't just happen, he told his students. It's forged in the most difficult moments of human experience. He showed images of drone technology, Originally developed for military use, now used in agriculture, search and rescue, and scientific research. Medical nanites, first created to treat soldiers, now helped cure diseases. Satellite technology developed for military tracking now helped predict weather and save lives. We take something destructive, Mr. Lee said, and we make it constructive. The Calderon research team reached the same conclusion in their sterile research facility. Humans were not just a species. They were a living, adaptive system that turned every challenge into an opportunity for growth. June, the student in the classroom, asked a final question. So we learn from our mistakes. Mr. Lee smiled. We do more than learn, he said. We transform them. Outside, the world continued. Billions of humans went about their daily lives, unaware that they were being studied, unaware that their unique ability to adapt was about to change everything. The galaxy would never be the same. The laboratory hummed with quiet intensity. Jae-sung worked carefully, his hands moving precisely between microscopes and advanced computer systems. Most people would not understand what he was doing. But today, he was about to turn a medical breakthrough into something entirely unexpected. It's fascinating, he muttered to himself, how a healing technology can become something else entirely. The medical nanite project had started as a simple solution. Tiny robots that could repair human tissue, fix damage at the cellular level, save lives in ways traditional medicine never could. But Jae-sung saw something more. Something that made the Calderon researchers watching his work grow very, very nervous. Each nanite was a tiny machine, programmable, adaptable, designed to understand and repair complex biological systems. But Jae-sung was discovering they could do much more than heal. With a few lines of code, a nanite designed to repair could become a nanite capable of taking apart molecular structures. A healing technology could become a precise destruction tool. In the Calderon observation room, Minho watched the humans work with growing concern. Do you see what he's doing? He asked Dr. An. Dr. An nodded. Humans don't create technology with a single purpose, he explained. They create technologies with potential, endless potential. The same pattern repeated across human research facilities. A communication satellite became a targeting system. A medical scanner became a long-range sensor. A rescue drone became a potential weapon platform. In another lab, a team of researchers worked on quantum communication systems. What started as a way to improve internet speed could become an unbreakable communication network. What began as a civilian project could transform military communication forever. Technological asymmetry. Dr. An wrote in his report, humans do not think in straight lines. They think in webs, networks, possibilities. Jae-sung continued his work, unaware of the alien observers. He was solving a problem, making something better, doing what humans always did, turning a challenge into an opportunity. The Calderon leadership received the report. They understood now why their initial survey had been so wrong. Humans weren't just a species. They were a living, adaptable technology platform. Every human technology seemed to have multiple potential uses. A medical breakthrough could become a weapon. A communication system could become a strategic network. A rescue technology could become a combat tool. They don't create technology, Minho said quietly. They create potential. The observation continued. In labs around the world, humans worked. Some knew they were pushing boundaries. Some did not. But all were part of something larger. A species that transformed everything it touched. Outside the research facilities, the world continued. Billions of humans went about their daily lives, inventing, creating, transforming. The Calderon understood now. Humanity was not just a species to be conquered. They were a force of nature. The old soldier sat in his small apartment. Photographs covered the walls. Maps, battle records, memories of conflicts most people had forgotten. His name was Park, and he understood something the Calderon aliens could never comprehend. Resilience was not just about surviving. It was about transforming pain into strength. Outside his window, the city moved. People went to work. Children went to school. Life continued. But the walls of his apartment told a different story. Each photograph was a lesson. Each map a strategy. Each memory a weapon more powerful than any technology. The Calderon research team watched his file carefully. They did not understand what they were seeing. "Look at his history," Minho said, pointing to the digital records. "Multiple conflicts. Multiple personal losses. Yet he continues to function, to contribute." Dr. Ahn nodded. "Humans do not break. They bend. They adapt." Park's story was not unique. Every human culture had stories of survival, of turning the worst moments into opportunities for growth. Wars, disasters, economic collapses, pandemics. Humans did not just survive these moments. They learned from them. In the apartment, Park picked up an old notebook. Inside were strategies, not just military strategies, life strategies. How to turn a problem into an opportunity. How to find hope in the darkest moment. The Calderon observers did not understand. Most species would be destroyed by repeated conflicts. Humans became stronger. A young researcher named Co pulled up more psychological profiles. Each one showed the same pattern. Humans took trauma and transformed it into motivation, into creativity, into innovation. Their stories are weapons, Co said quietly. She was right. Human literature was filled with tales of overcoming impossible odds. Every book, every movie, every piece of art told the same story. Challenges are not obstacles. They are opportunities. Park looked at a photograph of his military unit. Most were gone now, but their memory lived on, not as a source of pain, but as a source of motivation. The Calderon leadership began to understand something terrifying. Humans were not just a species. They were a psychological adaptation machine. Most species saw defeat as an ending. Humans saw it as a beginning. They don't just survive conflict. Dr. Ahn wrote in his report. They use conflict as a tool for evolution. In another part of the city, a group of students studied historical conflicts, not with sadness, but with curiosity. How did humans turn the worst moments into the best opportunities? Park watched the city from his window. He had seen the worst of humanity. He had also seen the best. The Calderon researchers continued their study. Each profile showed the same thing. Humans did not just endure. They transformed. Outside, life continued. Billions of humans moved through their day, unaware that they were being studied, unaware that their unique ability to turn pain into strength was about to change everything. The galaxy would never be the same. The Calderon battle fleet moved into position. Hundreds of ships, advanced weapons, technology that had conquered thousands of worlds. They targeted a small human colony on the edge of a distant planet. It would be a simple demonstration, a show of force. Captain Jiho watched the screens. This would prove their point. Humans were just another species to be conquered. "Initiate first strike protocol," he ordered. The ship's weapons charge. Energy built up. This would be quick, precise. A message to the entire human species. What happened next was not in any Calderon battle manual. The first missile launched, but something was wrong. The targeting systems seemed to shift. The weapon's path became unpredictable. Instead of hitting its primary target, it curved, redirected. "Impossible," Minho muttered. The human colony looked almost empty. Almost. But appearances were deceiving. What the Calderon didn't know was that the colony was more than just a settlement. It was a trap. A living, breathing system designed to turn any attack into an opportunity. Automated defense systems came online. Not just weapons. Complex networks that could think, adapt, redirect. The first Calderon ships exploded before they understood what was happening. Artificial intelligence systems, developed from decades of military research, began to work. Not just defending, attacking, learning, evolving with each second of the conflict. Drones that looked like simple agricultural machines transformed. Communication satellites became targeting systems. Medical scanning equipment became long-range sensors. "This is not possible," Captain Jiho said, but it was happening. The human colony was not just defending. It was fighting back. Every system was connected. Every piece of technology was a potential weapon. Minho watched in horror as the battle fleet began to fall apart, not through brute force, but through something far more terrifying: adaptive intelligence. A single human communication came through. It was not a threat, not a warning, just a simple message. "You should have studied our history better." The Calron had made a mistake. They thought humans were weak. They were wrong. In less than an hour, an entire battle fleet was destroyed, not by massive weapons, but by a network of systems that could think, adapt, transform. The human colony looked peaceful again, as if nothing had happened, but everything had changed. Commander Elena Rodriguez sat in a control room thousands of miles away. She wasn't surprised. This was what humans did. They turned challenges into opportunities. "Inform the United Nations," she said calmly. "We have visitors." The galaxy watched. Humans had just sent a message. They were not a species to be conquered. They were a force of nature. Outside, the stars continued to shine. Billions of humans went about their day, unaware that they had just changed everything. The Calron leadership would never be the same. The United Nations emergency meeting looked nothing like the Calron expected. It was not a place of panic. It was a place of cold, calculated decision-making. Commander Elena Rodriguez stood at the center of the room. Around her, representatives from every corner of the Earth gathered. Military leaders, scientists, economists, politicians. They were not separate groups. They were a single system. "We have been attacked," Elena said simply. Her voice was calm. Too calm. A representative from China spoke first. "Our satellite networks are already tracking the remaining Calron ships." His tone suggested this was a routine task, like checking the weather. The technology expert from India was already sharing data, screens filled with complex network maps, communication systems, defense protocols, economic impact assessments, all prepared in minutes. The Calron watching the transmission could not believe what they were seeing. Most species would be in chaos after a first contact attack. Humans were organizing, adapting, transforming the threat into an opportunity. "Economic response team," Elena called out. A group of economists stepped forward. Their screens already showed potential impact scenarios, how to turn a potential galactic conflict into an economic opportunity. The military representative from Brazil was discussing technological adaptation. "Our current defense systems can be upgraded in 72 hours, he reported. It sounded like he was discussing a routine software update. Scientists were already analyzing the Calron technology from the destroyed fleet, not with fear, with curiosity. How could they learn? How could they improve? Dr. Kim from the research team spoke next. "Their shield technology is interesting. We can improve our own systems using their data." An attack meant to crush humanity was becoming a research opportunity. The global communication networks were already working. Social media platforms spread information. News channels analyzed the attack. Online communities started sharing theories, potential defense strategies. What the Calron did not understand was that humans were not a single nation. They were a global network, an adaptive system that could transform any challenge into an opportunity. "We need a unified response," Elena said. But this was not a request. It was a statement of fact. Within hours, global manufacturing would be redirected. Research centers would be realigned. Economic systems would be adjusted, not through government orders, but through a complex, interconnected human network. The Calron had attacked one colony. They would face a planet. Outside the meeting room, billions of humans continued their day. Most did not know about the alien attack, but those who did were not afraid. They were interested, curious, ready to learn and adapt. A message was being prepared. Not a message of war, a message of transformation. The Calron had made a mistake. They thought humans were weak. They were wrong. Humanity was not just a species. They were a living, breathing, adaptive system. And the galaxy was about to learn that lesson. The stars watched, silently, waiting. The Calron High Council chamber was silent, cold, the kind of silence that comes after a terrible mistake. Captain Geo stood before them, his report simple and brutal. An entire battle fleet destroyed by a single human colony in less than an hour. The oldest member of the council spoke first. Her voice was tired. Explain. Geo's holographic presentation showed everything. How the humans had not just defended. They had transformed the attack into a learning opportunity. How every piece of Calron technology was now being studied, analyzed, potentially improved. They did not just survive, Geo said. They evolved. The council members looked at each other. They had conquered thousands of worlds, defeated countless species, but humans were different. Minho, who had been part of the initial research team, stepped forward. Their entire species is a living network, he explained. Not just military, not just technological, a complete adaptive system. The presentation continued. Satellite images, communication logs, economic data. Each piece of information told the same story. Humans turned challenges into opportunities faster than any species in galactic history. The younger council member asked the question everyone was thinking. How do we stop them? Geo's response was simple. We can't. The research showed something terrifying. Humans did not just react to threats. They transformed them. A military attack became a research opportunity. An economic challenge became a chance for innovation. Their global communication systems meant no single point could be destroyed. Their technological networks were designed to adapt, redirect, survive. They are not a species, Dr. On's final report concluded. They are a living, adaptive technology platform. The Council understood now. Humans were not something to be conquered. They were something to be studied, respected, possibly feared. Outside the council chamber, the galaxy continued. Stars moved, planets turned, but everything had changed. The oldest council member, who had seen thousands of species come and go, spoke quietly. We have made a mistake. Geo nodded. The humans had sent a message, clear and simple. We are not your prey. We are something else entirely. The military strategists were already working, but they knew something important. Traditional strategies would not work with humans. Nothing about them was traditional. They view conflict as a research project, one strategist said, not as a destruction event. The Calron had attacked to show human weakness. They had proven human strength instead. Every piece of technology they had brought would now be studied, understood, potentially improved. The galaxy would never be the same. Billions of humans continued their lives. Most did not know about the alien attack. Most would never know how close they had come to a real conflict, how they had already won. The stars watched, silent, waiting. Humanity had sent its message. We are here, and we are not what you expected.